Brad, what did you, watching the film of that game, what were your takeaways and what you can, I guess, kind of build on moving forward?
Yeah, I think we talked about it after, right, is that and it's no different. In every game, there's plays that you have to make to win the game. And there were some opportunities for us to make them, and we didn't. And so what we have to do is try to just continue to stay confident in the fact that we can make them when those plays arise, because you don't know which one it is, and you don't know which play call it is. And as a play caller, you sit there and you go over every call that you made, and you do it 7 times. I did it last night, but you got to put it behind you, and you just grow from it. And we've got to continue to stay confident in our ability to make those plays, and we've got to make them this week.
Was there a common theme to any of those?
A common theme. No, I mean, there was, obviously, everybody knows there was a couple of missed tackles and there was a couple of misfits. The missed tackles, cost you. I know Coach had talked about on Monday, when there's a scramble drill and a ball's thrown, it's one of those deals you just got to try to position yourself on the receiver that you can make the tackle. You can't, on that long one, you dive for a ball and you miss it, it can result in a big play like it did. Proud of the defense in terms of how they rose up and forced a field goal after that. But there was other opportunities that 2nd and long, and they run the shovel and we got a chance to make it 3rd and extra long, and it just slips out of our hands. But no, and I think we need to continue to get back. There were times in the game that maybe the swarming nature that we played with early drifted in, and obviously some of the tempo may have had to do with that, but some of that too stems with momentum and confidence, and you play faster when you've got a little bit of swagger to your step, and so we need to continue to get that back.
How many of those throws down the field were off schedule plays like the one you mentioned diving for, and what are the kind of lessons that you carry over with the scrambling quarterback like Wright potentially on the table for Saturday?
Yeah, the 2 of them, the one we had mentioned, and then the one right before half on the sideline, and then the other deep one was not sort of an off schedule. That was a pocket throw that down the sideline. Yeah, but no, I think throughout the off season, throughout fall camp, throughout the year, we understand how to plaster. No different than we understand how to take on blocks and how to tackle, and we can do tackling drills and all that. And it's in the moment that you have to, execute the technique, and we'll continue to, teach and rep and talk and get it done.
Is there anything you can take away personally from having at least 2 games gone up against Wright? And he had a couple of touchdown drives in 21, and then obviously played well last year. Is there anything you can take from those going into this game at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can take that. What kind of player he is. What kind of competitor he is. He, like you mentioned, he can make some of those. He can elude the pocket, make some plays with his legs. You got to be mindful of him. Sort of moving the pocket, getting out, and then making a play down the field. But then he can make some plays in the pocket. And so, we really good player. Obviously, we have some experience with him. And so, there's certain things you can sort of, take away from previous, games that we played against him.
Brad, we've seen Octavius make some big plays, getting in the backfield, some TFLs and sacks. How big has he been, and how important is it for the rest of the front 7 to do the same, get more plays in the backfield?
Yeah, no, he's played well, and they're like anything else, and he'd be the first to admit there's some plays in there too that he'd like to have back, and I think every one of us in the defense, there's one, plays that we'd like to take back. But yeah, creating negative plays are huge when you have an opportunity to make them. He's been doing a nice job, of making those plays. He had a couple early in the season that he had an opportunity to and just couldn't quite finish. And he's starting to finish those plays here recently, which obviously anytime you can make those help the defense. And so proud of his progression throughout the season. And we need to continue to play well sort of up front. Obviously, wasn't to our standard last week in terms of, how we want to handle the run game. And, some of the misfits are a little bit uncharacteristic, of what we tend to do. And so we'll get those fixed.
Brad, 2 years ago, you all were in the same spot where you had a really good first half. You lost 3 in a row, didn't finish really strong. What do you remember about what got that turned around, even after a Tennessee game that year where you all gave up a bunch of points?
Yeah, I mean, it's about getting up, putting one foot in front of the other, staying confident, and playing ball. It's not just going to happen. It just doesn't, you don't just say, okay, you're going to jump to a couple more wins. It starts with one. You don't get 2 wins before you get 1, right? You don't get 2 3-and-outs before you get the first 3-and-out. And so we just have to get back to playing it drive by drive. Don't think about anything else but that drive. And that was, a message that we had sort of talked about at halftime. And I was proud of the guys. Did we play as well as we wanted? No. But when you talk about out of every game, what kind of positives can you take? They came out of the locker room and had the 3-and-out. Then they, on the very next drive, you've got them back on 2nd and 20. They hit that long pass. They go down. They end up, but then they buckle down. They force a field goal. Then it's another essentially 3-and-out. It's 4th and 1. They get us, with the flinch at the front, and then we go and force another punt 3 plays later. So it doesn't really, so essentially, like, they came out of halftime and played really good, strong football, minus the one explosive that sort of got out on us, and you'd like to keep him in the pocket so it doesn't even get to that. So there are positives to build on, and that's what we have to continue to do, drive by drive, and then quarter by quarter, right, half by half, right, and then hopefully it turns into a full game, and then we can talk about this next week to see if we can make one game into 2. But it starts with one drive.
I know you're
Brad, still in the game kind of early, and it appears to me that look like Brian is starting to step up a little bit. Is anybody else that you think you call over to help it back in?
So
Anybody
Ty
else
stepped up.
Ty stepped up.
Yep, and then you're saying, is there anybody else?
Yeah, that you're looking at the part when they step up and help it back in.
No, we'll just continue sort of with the, with our rotation and, see sort of who pops. Obviously, we have, young men on the roster that, we're continuing to try to develop. But no, we're in an okay spot, just, in that regard. But again, proud of how Ty played. You talk about a true freshman coming in for his first start and doing what he did. And so now it's about backing those games, and stacking games for him. And so, but I think he can pull a lot of confidence from that game. I think his teammates have always trusted him. But hey, anytime you can, put that kind of performance out there, right, it just continues to build trust and confidence that, they've got no worries that he's going to be where he needs to be and do what he needs to do.
I know you're obviously busy watching Mississippi State, their offense, but that defense is a little weird. Is there ever a time where you kind of, I don't want to say help the offense out, but like, do they ever pull you in to kind of, here's what are they doing here sort of deal?
Yeah, I think both sides do. You always, if there's a question about it, a scheme or, how would you fit this, or what do you think's being trying to get accomplished here? Yeah, you always sort of lean on the other side of the ball to help you with that. You know, we do the same thing. Hey, how would you block this particular, front or look? And again, the way our offense would block it or the way we would defend it may not be the exact way. You'll try to give, sort of your 2 cents, but everybody has their own nuances. So it may not be the exact answer or right answer. So you have to be a little bit careful there. But yeah, that's the beauty of having a good relationship, on a staff, that you feel comfortable to go on either side and then try to provide, that the other side looks in practice, when you go some good on good.
How much different is Mississippi State's offensive scheme from what Coach Leach ran there?
Significantly different, yeah.
Just much more balanced, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a definitely more balanced offense, and even Coach Leach sort of in the last year, they had, Rogers had started running the ball more and all, but just the style of the offense is different, and the style of run game and the style of pass game, is different in that regard. And then obviously depending on, which quarterback's in the game, it can vary even more. So, yeah.
All right, folks, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.